Hello there everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to the Krista Chronicles and another video in Tarot and Neurodivergence, which I don't know if I explained this when I made the switch, not that I guess I need to, but this series started as Tarot and ADHD because that was my initial lens, the extent of it, but as I learn more about myself, uncover more about myself, learn just really the broader spectrum of neurodivergence that is going on in this being, it felt right to just also broaden the title here, because I think anything that I guess I speak on, since I am coming from a varied neurodivergent lens, I think could relate to a wider group of people than just ADHD. Maybe this is something you all know. I felt like I wanted to clarify that though, but also to say that I by no means am ever trying to pigeonhole that word. I think that felt important for me to say because I by no means am trying to represent the whole world of neurodivergence, because while I fall under some categories, there are some that I don't. So I guess all that to say, take this gal talking in her house with a very big grain of salt, because I don't know, I'm not actually I am a scientist, I'll have you know. Because it's a master's in library science I have, so it is a master of science, and I love to say that I'm a scientist because of it. So I was gonna say I'm not a scientist, but yes I am. I'm not a doctor though, so I don't know, I'm not ever giving medical advice. I just wanted to clarify that in case it was making anyone feel weird, because I don't want to do that. Anyway, let's get into the topic of today. And what I want to talk about, as always with these videos, when I make them, it's never me being like, gosh, I want to make a tarot and neurodivergence video, let's look at some possible topics. No, we are getting more personal than that, because I can't help it. That's just how it goes with me. You're never going to get something from me that is not something I am 110% interested in doing or just pertains to my life right now, because I cannot make myself sit still for something else. Anyway, so as usual with that, we are delving into current experiences for me, and something that has been a very big topic for me over the past few weeks has been navigating the feeling of shame and thoughts of shame around, for me, again, very specifically, late diagnosis and the unmasking that follows that. So I do feel like, at least for me, feeling shame is something that, like, I think even may have honestly been the impetus for wanting to explore these things about myself, or having these realizations about myself, because when it came down to it, it was this feeling of not feeling like I was doing things quote unquote the way you're supposed to, or the way that is expected of the world. So I guess, not to make this like deep dark gray cloud, but in essence, the start of this journey is at least a little bit rooted in that shame. And when you have lived life thus far thinking you are neurotypical when you're not, but knowing that like you are just not quite fitting the bill, it creates these mantra is not the right word because that's positive, but almost like these shame mantras in your head of like, why can't I do these things the way other people around me are? Why can't I just do this the way, again, I'm quote unquote supposed to? And so I say that in terms of, I think the battle with shame is something that has been consistent over the last few years since my initial, at least, ADHD diagnosis. But I specifically wanted to talk about it now because I have found that over the last few weeks it has really been intensifying, because I've just been dealing with things like struggles with being out of routine and regulating emotions, sensory overload, overstimulation. It has just been really at a peak for me the past few weeks for whatever reason. I had a cold, so that, lots of different factors we don't need to get into, but when it comes down to it, it led to a lot of meltdowns. I don't like that word, but that is the term that is given to that experience of like just this complete, and it looks different on everyone, but for me, this is this like system shutdown of like, we cannot do it anymore. We are at our limits when it comes to, like, again, things like overstimulation or just like feeling a loss of control. And so that's been something that's just been happening a lot more lately, which is hard because it leads to this, or at least again for me, it's been leading to this feeling of shame, because when it comes down to it, in those moments, it's this intense portrayal of neurodivergent traits I try so hard, or have, I guess, my whole life tried so hard to put behind a curtain, to hide from other people. And in those moments, I can't. I don't have that anymore. It's on display for whoever's around to see it. And so I guess that to say that I feel like I'm in this new frontier of battling this shame, the ways that I kind of shame myself about it, based on how I think other people might be perceiving me, because they are perceiving me in a new way, and that's tricky. It's really tricky. Hopefully this, oh gosh, I always feel like these are such an overshare. Blah. Oh my gosh. But as usual, I don't have a plan. I don't know. But as it goes, the things that I'm experiencing heavily, let's left turn into tarot and it gets weird. So anyway, as usual, anything that's going on in my life, it really reflects in my tarot practice. Do I look tan right now? Sorry. I think I might. Oh my gosh. Yard work queen. The focus isn't here today, if you couldn't tell, but we're here anyway. It impacts my tarot practice because, just like I said with making these videos, it's like everything that's going on for me is 100% involved in everything else. It's just how I go. And so I wanted to come on here because I've realized the past few days that there are decks that I am so heavily leaning into because they just are making me feel good right now. These are decks that when I am kind of in these shame spirals of just these thoughts I have around not being able to live up to a version of myself that I thought was right, but isn't right. These are the decks that really just come into play to affirm me in the best kind of way and get me out of doing that. Because the point I'm at now is that I am lucky in that a lot of people in my life really do affirm me and the further truths about myself that I continually reveal. any sort of needs, at least when I can get myself to communicate them, there's an effort to meet them. And so I'm at this point now where I realize how much the shame is coming from myself. Not to say that there isn't external pressure. I think forever and always, unfortunately, there will be. But for the most part, like in my day-to-day dealings, I feel very affirmed. So it's confronting this idea of like, gosh, like these thoughts, negative thoughts I have about myself, really, they're coming from me. Like me, myself, and I. That's what I need to kind of be working around right now. Or not even, like, not kind of, very much working around. And so I see that it's very much reflected in my decks, where it's like they're very like, I'm going towards decks that I wouldn't say are these like extreme hug decks, but they are affirming. And that's just, it's the only way I have to describe it, right? Because that real hug, squishy kind of deck doesn't quite do the trick in this scenario, because there's that part of me that, you know, when I'm in that mode of kind of shaming myself, if I were to read something of like, just spread your light, I'm gonna be like, okay, and? You know, that message has a time and place, and this is not it. And so it's more so decks that provide, when I say they affirm me, it's that there is a call out of like, hey, I see you saying this about yourself. You know it's not true. Finger wag. These are like kind of decks. So should we just get into it? Because I'm talking a lot. Okay, let's go. Green Witch Oracle. I don't even know what to, something about it. It's also, we're here for vibes right now. That's also another factor. This is heavily a vibe deck, but I love the keywords on it. I think something about just the feel of this deck is so grounding in this. It feels like a cozy fantasy oracle. Like whenever I'm reading a cozy fantasy book, if they were to pull out an oracle, I'm like, it would be this one, obviously. So there's something about that as well that just, I don't know, really is making it fit the bill right now. But I really love the keywords. I love how it pairs with the decks, the tarots I'm drawn to right now. This one though, it's the vibes, because we're also into gardening season. We are heavily into gardening season right now. And I will say that all of this kind of happening alongside gardening season, so helpful. So helpful, because just touching some dirt when you're feeling some kind of way helps. And I've heard that's science. Don't ask me what science. I'm not that kind of scientist. That's why I don't actually walk around saying I'm a scientist. So this just pairs with that, and just, you know, it's the vibe. And I love it. Another one that's kind of half vibes, half like the messages is the latest Seasons of the Witch. Oh my gosh. I love this. I love it so much. I love them all, but like, I just feel like they just keep getting better and better and better. And this, it feels like the right kind of hug. You know, when that feeling of like someone is telling you exactly what you need to hear, calling you on your BS, but just giving you the best hug of all time at the same time. I feel like that's what this deck is, because in usual Seasons of the Witch fashion, the messages at the bottom, they're just gonna say what you need to hear. Not that it's like this super call out kind of deck, but you know, I wouldn't say it's not squishy either. So it's a sort of thing of like, you're gonna get what card you're gonna get, and it's gonna say exactly what you need to know. But it also has, just similar to the Green Witch, where just the feel of this with the colors and the images, it just, you know what it is? All of these decks feel like a pause and a big exhale. And I think I've been trying to put that into words, and I should have just said that because that's the feeling. And I feel like you all get what I mean by that, of just, feels like a good exhale. So I've been using this a ton as well and loving it. So that's the Seasons of the Witch Litha. Now let's go into the tarot, because then the last two decks I have to show are really new. Like, I got them this weekend, but they are kind of what inspired this video, because they brought on this realization of just what I've been doing with my decks, you know what I mean? But the tarot I have to share is the Unicorn's Journey Tarot, which just successfully funded, like, I feel like successfully funded is not even the right words to use, like, so overwhelmingly, amazingly, over the top, in the best way funded, because it was like 400 something %, for good reason. This has been like the only tarot I want to use, I feel like. And I'll tell you why. One, just unicorns, the colors, yes. But in the guidebook, there are, oh no, what are they called? Self-worth messages. Self-worth messages for every card. And the way that has just been exactly what I've been needing. And so all of these other decks are oracles, because like this has been the tarot for these moments, because I need that self-worth message. Like that's the kind of thing I need. And it doesn't, again, it's not this like, the self-worth message isn't, it's different from a self-care message. There's a difference there, where a self-care message to me is very much leaning into like the, it's okay, everything's gonna be okay, don't worry, which again has its time and place, but the self-worth message tells you what you need to hear. And let me get my journal from this morning. Okay, because there was a part of this, of the self-worth message that I wrote down in my journal for my reading this morning that I had to share as the example, because I pulled the Magician, and a line from the self-worth was, tell your inner critic to shove it. Yes, that's exactly what I needed. Thank you so much. Also so funny. Just, I can't get enough. I just don't know how to put into any more words that, other than the self-worth messages that come with these cards, have been such a helpful tool, and I love it so much. That's that. That's all there is to it. So, let's continue with the other oracles! Yay! Okay, so these are the two I got this weekend that made me realize, like, oh, we got a theme going on here lately. And that is the How to Be a Wildflower deck by Katie Daisy, and the sister deck, How to Be a Moonflower. So, I've been usually using this in the morning or daytime, and this at night. And this has just been, again, the perfect thing, because I'm sure you've all seen, these decks have been around, so I'm sure you all know it, but each card has an image on the back, but then it just a singular quote on the front, all different sorts of things. And just the cards I've been pulling, I don't know, they're just exactly, again, what I need to hear. Embrace the dark. They're so beautiful. how lovely the silence of growing things. Like, you can just look at that in so many different ways. It feels like a good thinker and just gets me out of my own head. I think that's also the thing where it kind of pushes me outside of those shaming thoughts to be like, huh, what does that mean? How does that apply? And so it's just, oh, it's so beautiful. I love it so much. So the combo of these two has also been amazing. Now, last but not least, before I shut my mouth for the day, the whole day, that's right, my battery's running out. Are we surprised? Is that there's a combo I have not tried, but I want to. And I saw it on someone's Instagram and of course didn't write it down. I need to stop doing that. I need to start like saving people's posts that I'm like, ooh, I want to try that too, for in case I mention it so I can give them credit. So if this was you, please let me know. But I saw someone pair the Reclaim Oracle with the I'm Here Oracle. And I just thought that was so genius, because this was like the hard-hitting, like, emotion, raw truth, and then this accompanying it was like, okay, here's how we take care of this. Here's what we do to work around it. So cool, so cool. I don't remember when, again, or where I saw it. I know it was on someone's Instagram, so please let me know if this was you, because you're a genius, and I can't wait. So that was just the last thing I wanted to mention that I haven't tried, but I think would fit into this swimmingly. I love that word, swimmingly. Other than that, I think that's all I have for you all today. So let me know what you think, unless, I don't know, this was an, you know, I'm always nervous as an overshare. It's fine. I think it's fine. Anyway, we're gonna leave it at that before I keep talking. So I hope you're all having a great day so far. I am. Again, we are working through it as always. So again, I'll see you again very soon.